But can we acknowledge Dochi's performance?
Yeah.
Nigga.
About how Nikki never. Anyways.
What are you gonna say? The Grammys.
Welcome to BSU's episode 2. Our conversation is on Black influence on mainstream media. Today I have here with me, starting from right opposite me, there's Mani, then there's Ugonna, and then there's Ella. And we are all here to discuss serious topics that we would encourage you sit and give a thought to if you're watching. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which I'm going to make after this. So, yes. Thank you, guys.
Of course. So, first question of today. What's a trend you've seen on social media that you know started in the Black community? Gotta think about this all over again because I don't remember.
Before we mentioned AAVE and how that's kind of just become a trend. Like, it feels like everything about Black people just becomes a trend for some reason, but it's weird when we do it. But, like, a lot of people try to fake how they talk or try to have a Black accent or something like that, and you can tell that's not the way that they authentically talk. Like Ariana Grande, her little Blackiana situation.
Not gonna lie to y'all, I'm gonna keep it real. Blackiana, Black when Blackiana was still a thing, her music was on
No, seriously.
fire. Her music was fire. I wouldn't say that. Okay, that's all. I was gonna say AAV as well, but then like now that I think about it, it's like not exactly trends. It's more like stuff that we do as a community, stuff that we already do, and then people try to basically, copy that for some reason. Like, our hair, a lot of people like to go ahead and like copy that a lot, and it's like, why are you doing that? Lowe's, is your one? I don't know. Like, try to talk.
No, it was not on Mani.
Oh my God.
No. Dab me up real quick, because you ate that. I ain't gonna lie. Wait. It was not on, y'all. Next question.
I mean, wow. Do you feel like Black creators get enough credit for their work? Why or why not? I'm just answer this quickly. No.
Okay. Honestly, do we even really need to talk about that for real? It's been known like since the dawn of time for like Black people often, if not all the time, get things stripped from them and watered down into something else on the basis of somebody else wanting to have created something too. But the truth of the matter is that there's always just some Black origin there, and when something is just so good, you really have to consider if a Black person made it. I'm being serious. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that even before we hear.
That can be seen just like as in general, like with like Afrobeats, like a lot of people have been like copying Afrobeats and not giving credit. Like people are like, "Well, this sounds so good." I'm like, "Sounds familiar." Like I feel like I've heard that somewhere.
Like I hear my people.
Wait,
but
I
I don't
don't
see
see
my people.
people.
How do you know when something is appreciation versus appropriation?
Appreciation versus appropriation. Appreciation comes in the form of recognizing, because in order to appreciate, you recognize. Appropriation, you're taking it. Appropriate, you're literally just, you're not recognizing anything about the origins. You might be either waking up and just saying you found something new or you've discovered something fresh, and 9 times out of 10, if you're appropriating, you haven't, and you're just putting something on in a performative sense, and that's not exactly something you want to be proud of. So let's aim to appreciate by recognizing its origins instead of just appropriating and putting it on as though it is a costume of some sort.
And there are people that appropriate without knowing that they are appropriating as well. And my response to that is like, if someone tells you that you are appropriating their culture, then take it to heart. Don't just be like, "Oh no, I just found this cute." Like
Right.
I'm gonna. This is style and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, but it's not.
It's style to you.
Yeah, but not. But it's someone else's culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's easy for us to forget or not realize where things come from, but I feel like the way that you respond to that is so very important.
Yep.
And that way you can also spread that awareness to other people.
Definitely.
I also will say that it all comes down to like crediting people. Like at least like go like, oh yeah, I owe this to so and so because they were the original thing. Like if y'all can do that with any other person, you can do the same thing with Black people as well. And same thing with like don't take it to heart. Okay, then like don't take it to heart. But like, you know, if you don't know, research it, look it up, like ask around, but like don't make it seem like, oh, as if like, oh, I was just doing this because it looks good, or like when you do research it, make sure you search it up thoroughly and not just like skim through it and be like, oh, you know, we can do this as well, and be like, be ignorant about it, like learn.
You know those like hairstyles in which people would be like, oh, those are like, okay, when white people would wear certain hairstyles, and then certain people of color on the internet, or physically black people, would be like, hey, no, that style, that's appropriation. They'll be like, no, our ancestors wore braids before.
Literally.
And I was like, and there people are in the comments literally saying, that's not the same though. Like you're doing something different.
Like the box braids,
yeah,
the vacuum box braids. Like,
and it's
please don't get me
it's literally
started.
like you know exactly what you're doing, and you know exactly what you're not doing, and you know those are not Viking braids. Okay, so stop.
Yeah,
When you
please.
put those on, you can say you put those on, but you know you did not put those on. Like, stop.
Reminds me of the trend about the Carl braids from Shameless.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
And
white
this
boy
just-
Carl.
Yes, white boy
White boy
Carl.
Carl from
braids.
I mean, he was fine.
But it was supposed
Okay.
to be like, it was supposed to be like showing that the mockery of Black culture is not appropriate in any setting, whether it's Black people or not. It don't matter. And respecting that in and of itself is appreciation.
Yeah, or like, what were they called again? With the edges, they would call
sticky
it.
bangs.
Yes.
Yes.
That really fueled me. I was just like, they cannot be this ignorant to think that, oh, we created this, we discovered this. You did not discover anything. You saw something and you liked it, and you didn't put any and you didn't put any like background to it or anything, and you just decided to call it your own. That it's not yours.
It wasn't too long ago that edges were seen as tacky.
No,
And
dead
then-
ass.
And now,
Y'all want to wear it
Right.
everywhere. Oh my God. So, next question. What's a piece of Black culture that you feel proud of?
Oh my gosh. I have been waiting to talk about this anthropologist that I learned about in my anthropology class. It's Zorana Hurston. She is an amazing writer, and she was a part of the Harlem Renaissance, 1920s, 1940s, where she studied like the dialect of African Americans and proved that it is proper in contemporary spaces along with academic. And like one of her notable achievements was the book Their Eyes Are Watching God. And she uses
Okay, right. I love that. We love that.
I'm glad y'all know. I love that. Because like not a lot of people know about her. And she passed away poor because of her lack of recognition. And the fact that she wasn't recognized as much is a bit heartbreaking, but kind of bringing her to the forefront during Black History Month, I feel like is doing her a good service.
It's also just a little negative addition. Apparently, that book is not allowed in libraries in the United States. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Really, the only place you can buy it at the moment is in the African American Museum.
Are you serious?
not
I
kidding.
read it in high school.
Me too. That's why I was so shocked to hear that it wasn't allowed anymore. When we went to the DC trip, which you guys should also keep in touch with every BSU event. I promise you'll love it. But we went to DC and I saw the book and I was like, wow. And my friend had mentioned that it's banned in American libraries for probably just, censorship or something along those lines.
That reminds me of this one documentary that my mom had. It was like a trilogy of a documentary. It was called Hidden Colors, basically talking. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. So yeah, my mom, she had like the whole entire like film set of those documentaries, and they're not really sold out anywhere. Same thing with the book, because like it talks about our culture. It talks about like what happens like like how we were the original, basically, and like how we were originally monks and everything. Yeah, they had like everything, every single detail. My mom basically made me watch all 3 of them.
I love that.
I'm actually thank her for making me do that, because now I know more about our culture, and like how if it weren't for us, then like most of the stuff that happens in our day-to-day life, it wouldn't be here.
Exactly. GPS?
Yes.
You need GPS to go a lot of places nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So thank Black creators.
And another thing I will say is like our fashion and our music, and I like how a lot of white people like to basically try to copy that same thing, because like they don't have an original mind of their own, and like all the hip hop and like all of that and the trap music, then try to like make that our whole entire persona. I actually don't. I see, that's one thing I don't like. I like how we can create music, but like the music that kind of represents us is like the hip hop trap music that's looked at as ghetto, when it's not. That's just how it looks. And then y'all are the same people who will go ahead and try to do the exact same thing, which is like, make up your mind, please.
Sure. Especially, might upset somebody with this, but blues and country? Question mark.
Literally.
Yeah. Chuck Berry was the creator of rock and roll is the foundation of country.
Yes.
So I don't know why you don't want to recognize him or give him his due diligence.
How does the experience of being a Black student at a HBCU differ from being a Black student at a PWI, and what unique challenges and opportunities do each environment offer?
I'm gonna start off with the pretty obvious, like, level of comfort. When you're around people who look like you tend to just be more comfortable. But in a PWI, however, it's a lot more strife to it to find the people you're entirely comfortable around. And I guess in PWIs, it opens you to a lot more diversity outside of your race, but it's not like you're Black. It's not like you have to see that before, But, like, I think they both have their ups and their downs. Like, I've always known HBCUs to be such a good thing. Lately on TikTok, I see a lot of rhetoric, and it's negative, but besides from that, they both suffer their own negative points. But at the end of the day, I think that the general positive in both of them is that you have your community there in some way. And in HBCUs, I guess that would be in a greater extent because it's an HBCU. But I think that would be the one notable difference for me as someone who goes to a PWI.
I think one of the differences might be like the microaggressions that you experience. Obviously, in one campus, you're going to experience probably more microaggressions than the other. I know like a lot of my friends experience like the mad Black woman stereotype around them, or like, since there's so many white people on this campus, like somebody saying something like really insensitive, but then because there's no one around you to like
hold that,
they don't get called out for it, or even if they do get called out for it, they're like, oh, it's just a joke.
I was
like,
about to say something, but I'm like, I don't know if I can say it. Actually, I will say it. I'm going to put it all on the table. I'm not going to say the sport in itself because that's doing too much. But my friend was sitting down one day, and she is doing her homework, and she hears some nigga. And that's okay. That's all right, nigga. That nigga this, nigga that, But
nigga.
Then come around the corner, a whole bunch of people. The problem is she's not seeing her people, you guys. But she's hearing her people, but she's not seeing her people in that crowd of sportsmen. And, of course, just one of them does the decent expected deed of correcting his friend and telling him, oh, don't say that. But because, of course, he was white, he said, don't say that around
Oh.
The black one on their team.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
With
So,
the
yeah.
black person on their team.
Yeah, but he wasn't there.
Oh,
So
no,
he
he
was
said don't.
specifying, don't say it when he's here.
Oh.
And I'm like, all I can think is just, the audacity is just through the roof. And this is only because you know no one is going to hold you to be accountable for your actions. At the end of the day, it's probably not a big deal to them. They probably go into the rooms and say that all the time, you know, but it's the fact that you feel so comfortable to do that, and it's a great reflection, like you said, to how, like, black people they don't get that comfort as much as you do to feel like you can say things like that and get away with it. As an athlete as well, that's ridiculous. And a big shame on them all if they're ever watching this.
See, I never wanted to slap a nigga ever in my life, like as much as I wanted to now. Cause what the hell? No, and it's the fact that like the key word was around that person. Like, so you're saying that like, oh yeah, we should definitely say it,
Yes,
but not
exactly.
around them just to offend them. But you're still saying it. That's still offending
And
us
that's
no
a
matter
PWI
what.
for
And
you.
it's like,
And then you inevitably tokenize your friend.
yes.
There is a plus being at PWI as a black person. There's an opportunity to kind of raise awareness for your people, and also to, I mean, it's not your job, but to show people, like, to be someone that your people would be proud of, I guess, in that situation.
Especially in the midst of not many. Yeah,
It is so admirable when there is a person of color who goes to a PWI and does something for the first time.
No, literally.
And like I read this book, I literally forgot it. I'm sorry, but it was about a black physician, and she talked about how she was one of the first black women to attend Harvard Medical School.
Wow. I was
And-
actually gonna comment.
Oh, really? But yeah, she talks about like all the struggles that she went through as a black person, especially like with situations like how cystic fibrosis is very prominent in the white community, and then sickle cell anemia is prominent in the black community. But one has like a bunch of research done, and then the other one had like a lot less research done. You can tell where the money is going to and stuff like that. And so she talked about a lot of that. It was such an amazing book.
Yeah.
Oh, it's called Legacy. But it's so good, and it's just so beautiful because now she has put a foot forward that the rest of her people can follow.
Right,
And I feel like
exactly.
that's the same thing at a PWI. Like when you see someone that is like you, like if you are that person that takes that foot forward, then other people will look at you
Right.
and be like, I can do this too, even if I'm in a place that I'm unfamiliar with.
Right. Absolutely nothing wrong with being the first. Definitely do your homework, y'all. Like, go to school, get that education so you can be that legacy. You can set that example because it's so possible. And it's just important to recognize how not that many black people were even in the space. So not that many black people were probably even allowed to have platforms like that. And it's like you were saying, with medical stuff, you see pictures, for instance, you look up, psoriasis. I can bet you the first 20 pictures you see are going to be a white woman's head or a white man's. You are not going to find anything unless you specify. And it happens a lot on social media as well, since we're on topic of mainstream media, just having to specify and having to create that as if it's a sense of an other, like, braids. But then you see French braids, or like you see other stuff like that, but you have to say braids, black woman, or you say outfits, black woman, just so you can see a face that looks like yours, so you can feel comfortable. And it's not necessarily like you can't take outfit inspiration or other inspiration from other races, but it's just more the fact that it wouldn't kill anyone to have another person who's not white up there too.
It's a great point that you mentioned about like textbooks, medical textbooks showing black skin with different skin conditions. I have psoriasis and also like psoriatic dermatitis, and I had it on my face when I was younger, and they were never able to figure out what it was because my skin looked different than the medical books. So it's like when you have that example in the books, it's easier to better attend to your patients, and black people are more likely to die from heart attacks because it just looks different, it appears different, it shows different in us. And the fact that we have to prove that, or the fact that they think our pain scale is higher because our skin is thicker because of our darker skin, it just doesn't make any sense. And these myths still prevail in the medical community, even with the, I think, oximeter, basically like your blood levels. If your skin is darker, you're more likely to get a higher like read back than a white person. So you're more likely to get neglected with your medicine intake and stuff like that, being prescribed something simply off of damn machine.
Right. That's why it's so important that even if you're in a situation in which you are the only person of color, if you, like, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, because it's going to be so hard. Actually, I don't, like, honestly, if you're thinking about it, I'm like, no, literally.
Like, when was it ever easy?
No, seriously. But, like, pushing through and being that like, point in which, like, that start, it's so important for diversity. And it's so, so important to just make sure that there are people that everybody's being represented in media. And so, honestly, taking that, like, trying and pushing yourself into spaces where you weren't where your people weren't initially, is so important, I think, especially in this day and age in which it seems like everything's going backwards. Like, we just need to keep pushing forward, honestly.
Yeah, this reminds me of this one scenario that actually goes on in my life. So basically, that basically happened in my life. So my mom and my dad, they both went to HBCUs. They both went to Shaw, and they both met there, and that's when they first met, and that's when they, you know, yeah. So then, I went like, oh, I low-key want to go to an HBCU. And it's like, okay, that's good too. But like, scholarship money. Not a lot of HBCUs have a lot of scholarship money. And then also at the same time, my dad, he also mentioned me that like, as much as it would be nice to go to a HBCU, imagine having an HBCU on your resume and then trying to use that as a job. Not a lot of jobs are going to accept a black person going to HBCU.
That sucks to say.
It is sucks to say, but also at the same time, it's true.
To recognize.
It's recognized. How does it feel when you see people outside the black community using parts of our culture? Bless you. I'm gonna go back to Miss Ariana Grande. As much as I love her, I love her.
We love her.
Yes. I love her. Love her down. She's like, not gonna lie, she's actually one of my favorite artists of all time. But with her Black Yana era, when she would use AAVE and then the ultimate tanning of her skin.
Oh yeah.
Before, you know, she decided to like basically stop that eventually, because like, you know, she matured and everything. I will say that, like, you know, that was kind of looked a little weird, if I want to be for real.
I think, but it's also important to recognize Ariana Grande as a whole. She has a very common habit of just falling in line with whatever's around her, and like just not turning it into an aesthetic, but whoever she's around or whatever she's doing at the moment will influence her very heavily. Because during her Blackiana phase, it's very important to recognize that she's very good friends with Victoria Monet, her daughter. Victoria Monet's daughter is Ariana's goddaughter, so she spent a lot of time with her during that point. Yeah, literally that was who helped her with her
they made music together.
Not to change the topic again, but Grammys, the way Race Wars has built itself up from the ground from that is kind of crazy.
But can we acknowledge Doechii performance?
Yes! Oh my God, amazing. We all loved that.
Doechii deserved that rap album.
I don't know, maybe it's my social media, but just felt like it was overrun by specifically like white women, which is fine. But like, which is good. I personally love a lot of the artists that really like grew in popularity this year.
Yeah.
But it was so nice to see that like black people were still able to like, even though it was like all the trends and stuff, we were still able to secure ourselves some spaces.
Exactly.
It was like Sabrina, Billie Eilish,
Chappell
Roan, Olivia Rodrigo, like Taylor Swift, all of them just keep Charlie XCX.
See, I love them, but like tone it down a little bit.
Not
like,
even tone it down, but like, you know, clock your fans. Like, don't allow them to just stand by you just because you're white. Like, you know, like with the whole Billie Eilish thing, she started to cry after Beyonce won. For whatever reason that may be. Maybe she was sad she didn't win. Maybe she was just beyond proud of Beyonce. But she started to cry, and everybody started making edits about how she was robbed that night, and she deserved it,
Oh, yeah, I
everything
hated
under
that.
the sun. Everyone just was so quick to bash Beyonce, like she had a part in it. It was just immediately they thought she bought it. Oh, she had to have bought it. Oh, this, that. It,
They hate to see
Y'all
a black
hate
woman be
Beyonce.
successful.
Yes.
They
I swear,
hate
y'all
it.
hate
That
Beyonce.
part.
And like, Brad's a good album too.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when I saw the Cowboy Carter one, period.
I'm about to say, done.
Like, if
Like-
any of them won, sure, but like, but where's all this hate coming from?
I
Like,
get
about
it.
how Nicki never. Anyways.
Hello?
I'm about to say,
Okay. Sure.
it's just giving, like, you can do good, but don't do better than me. I'm not gonna lie, I think of the components of white supremacy. I'm not sure if you've seen that, like, document, but it's like individuality and objectivity, where it's like you have to fit a certain stereotype, especially as people of color or black people, due to them not wanting to see you any further than your race. And it's such a big disservice, especially with Beyonce's album. That was so good.
It
And the fact
was.
that it was steeped in black culture, I think is a part of the reason why they don't like it. Because, I mean, they can't take much outside of their own.
Oh, you know, one thing that kind of made me mad was when Beyonce released Cowboy Carter, when they saw that she was doing country, they hated that.
Oh,
Exactly.
And y'all forgetting that
exactly.
she's from Houston.
No, literally
she's
from
from.
Houston.
She's from. What are you gonna say? The Grammys. Yeah. All right, next question. What's one thing mainstream culture has borrowed from black culture but then do justice to?
Collard greens. Stop messing around with collard greens. I'm sick of it. I'm not gonna lie, and groom, those are not collard greens. They're just vinegar.
Oh my gosh. Did anyone try the Nigerian food?
Oh,
I said, ooh. I literally did not even go to Groom because I knew.
I got to, like, what was it? I don't know if it was dinner or lunch, to be honest, but I got there and I saw the menu and I was just like, let me turn around, because the last thing I want is to be disappointed.
No,
I saw that
no
they-
shade, no shade. But whenever I go to the Groom, the first thing I get is pizza and dip.
Oh,
Absolutely. Yes.
Like the pizza's like the only good thing there, and then maybe some of the
Yeah.
stuff at the action station on a good day.
Yeah.
Everything else,
Yeah.
bye bye.
How I know it's not gonna be good is if I walk in and I don't smell the seasoning.
Yes.
I'm walking out.
I think maybe that's gonna be our general
Because
answer.
I know-
Food and seasoning. It seems like that just, the idea gets borrowed a lot as well, but like, yeah, not very well. But that's okay. Make your own food.
I think that would probably be one of the downsides of going to a PWI that I just so heavily envy black HBCU students. Y'all got
Do they eat good?
Y'all
collard
get
greens,
y'all
they eat
shit.
good
Or
or
something?
soul
Or is it
food,
bad?
like actually good soul food.
Okay.
And that's
I didn't know they was eating good over
cornbread,
there.
collard greens,
Ah.
chicken.
My big
fried
back
chicken.
self.
No, literally.
All right. I think it's our last question.
Okay.
How can non-black people show genuine respect for black creativity?
I'm gonna start off by saying allow it to take up space. I'm gonna really just retouch on Ella's point with the whole you can be good but not better than me. They can be better than you. There's many chances they will be better than you, and you have to be comfortable with that. That's literally diversity. Diversity is the idea that there's not a specific norm, and if you're constantly banking on in the back of your mind that the white girl will win, possibly because she's white, or immediately you think the white girl was robbed because she didn't win. Maybe she just didn't have the better album. And that is no shade to Billie Eilish. I love Hit Me Hard and Soft, okay? But just the general idea that someone who's not black can win over a white person, it should not ignite such a huge race war ever. Like, and if it does that, that's your problem right there. You need to allow that to not cause you so much discomfort, and you should not feel so threatened by a black person doing something that you would not have put them up to.
I think we all go into the world with some sort of stereotype about other people. And honestly, that's like the way it is based on media and based on how you were raised. But it's your job, it's your responsibility to determine what is real and what is not.
Thank you guys very much for sitting down. again, for some, thank you very much for sitting down to have this conversation. Please stay in touch with BSU on all platforms. I would list them, but I don't have to. I'm going to edit it later, and you'll see it somewhere down below. Okay? So make sure to follow us on all our social platforms. Once more, subscribe, like, comment down below if you want to see any more kinds of content from BSU, specifically on our YouTube and in the podcast room. And we will be sure to deliver. Any last words from anybody else?
Happy BHM.
Yes, happy Black History Month.
That part. Okay, thank you for watching.
And
Have
get ready for
a-
next episode.
Exactly. Get ready for the next episode. Episode 3. Okay. Mwah. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.